Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Holidays are upon us. I can't believe New Year's is like 3 weeks away. What's going on here? With the holidays comes a lot of challenge, a lot going on. So many different things you have to juggle. Buying presents, wrapping them, family, work, parties, all of that. Now add to the mix, probably the most important part, being a caregiver. That's your responsibility. There's a lot going on there that you have to add to it, and it can pull you down and drain you. How do you keep moving forward during the holidays? Keep your energy there, replenish it as needed. She helps people with this all the time as a coach for caregivers. Essentially, that's what she does. It's amazing. Marika Humphreys is back with us. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. Yeah, getting over a little bit of a cold, so I'm finally back to mostly normal. So that's good.
I feel like I might have one coming on. So when we talk about replenish energy, it's like I was fired up yesterday. I had so much energy, did so much. It was put the lights up, blah, blah. Today I'm like, it's all good, but that's just a piece of replenishing your energy. Now add all the holidays, and now add being somebody responsible for caregiving. How do you do that?
Yeah. This time of year can be challenging because we tend to add more to our plate. We have traditions, like you mentioned, putting up the lights. That's always a big thing. It might be getting the holiday card or letter if you send one out, doing holiday baking, the decorating, all of those things that we typically do. I think we put a lot of expectations on ourselves. As caregivers, if we're feeling already run down or just worn out or not really feeling the same level of joy and energy that we want to enter the holidays, and then you add all of these expectations we've either placed on ourselves to get the baking done, the decorating, or expectations we feel like others have of us, or we might have of others as well, too, right? I think there's expectations all around, like so-and-so is supposed to do that, I'm supposed to do this. So we place a lot around this time of year, and that can be hard to navigate with, regular situation. But if you are drained because of being a caregiver or because of potentially what your loved one is going through. I mean, the other aspect of this is their health, depending on who that person is in your family. If it's, your partner or a parent, somebody that is critical usually in the holiday traditions, that can really put a damper on things. So I really think we get on autopilot a lot of times, and we tend to do what we've always done. And that's what just can lead to just more stress, I think, and more fatigue. And really the simplest, best advice I have is just be willing to rethink the holidays, rethink traditions, rethink how you do things.
You said something before that really stuck in my head. I can't get rid of it. And that's the expectations of others.
Yes.
You're doing your thing. Maybe you've established a rhythm. It's all going good, right? And then you have to rely on others to offer support or do whatever they're going to do. How do you get in the mindset of those expectations of others?
Yeah, I think one of the ways I like to think about rethinking all of it, because it's likely that others are feeling the stress in the same way or a similar way. We all feel it to varying degrees. We all have things going on in our lives, whether we're caregiving or not. And if you feel like others are falling short of the part that they normally hold up, one thing I like to think about, I think is a good way to reorient, or maybe that's not the best word, but rethink, again, to use that term, the holidays is, what do I want out of this time? Like, what's most important? Because we get fixated on the things, the doing, the present buying, the, sending of the holiday card, all the things that we have lined up on our to-do list. But that's if you ask most people what they want, it's not about all the things. It's about how they feel. They want to feel a certain way. They want to feel joy or connection or love or appreciation. They want to be able to be present. I mean, it's all of these emotion words. That's what most people want from the holidays. And so that's a little bit of a disconnect. And so getting back to your question about expectations of others, I think, finding out maybe if somebody is letting you down or not up to something's going on there. I think first finding out what's going on and being willing to think what's most important here. Like, is it that this gets done or is it that we, are all together? Or, I mean, kind of getting down to the basics. It can get lost at this time.
And managing the expectations, I think, is huge. And I feel also understanding that you can't control what you can't control. So as much as you want, you're thinking of, I don't know, a sibling. You said you were going to do this and now you're not. And it, you have rage. You're angry. This is mom we're taking care of. I completely hypothetical.
Yeah.
But you can't make somebody do something. So, I heard this recently. The most control you can have. Wait, I wrote down on a Post-it note, so I'm going to just grab it. Hang tight. It's over here somewhere. Having control is realizing that you don't have control.
Yes. That is so true, right? The minute that's the one thing we have control over is the fact that we have no control of others.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've been thinking a lot about recently, I'm rereading, I think I mentioned this before, but I'm rereading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. So it's a foundational book for anybody looking to learn and improve themselves. And it talks about principles. It's just a fabulous book. And it's probably one of the basis of the whole self-coach or life coaching industry, that book. But one of the things that is in the book, I believe it's one of the habits, is seek first to understand, then to be understood. And I have been thinking about that a lot because we so often assume we know why others do what they do or don't do. So getting back to, let's say the sibling is not helping out with care of mom or whatever other example you want to give, like just simply asking what's going on. And I bring that up specifically too because, as I think is pretty well understood now, that the holidays are also a time of difficulty for a lot of people emotionally. More people get depressed this time of year. More people feel lonely and isolated. So it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something big going on and that's at the root of why whoever is not doing or holding up their end. But I think it's still just worth asking. Like, we just jump to assumption and judgment and anger so quickly, and we skip over trying to understand because we all have reasons. And whether you think they're good reasons or not, I think it's worth at least asking and finding out the reason. And that's how we also connect with each other.
And I think also just be prepared for the answer. You might not like the answer. Somebody could say, I thought you were going to fly in a week early to help with the holidays because mom isn't doing well. And that person could say, well, I decided that I wanted to, spend a couple of days, in a warmer climate on my way up. You can't control it.
Well, that's true too. Right. Yeah. Right. And that's where the judgment comes in. Like, I'm up here. Like, that's the way you judge or make, value this time. I mean, that can be very frustrating or feel very frustrating. That's a good point too. Be aware. And then going back to, okay, what do I control here? Well, can't control it. So I think both sides, both pieces of advice are good to first ask and then also be willing to remind yourself of okay, what can I control here? And I think what's the minimum? like, what do we need to do? Again, we tend to like pile a lot of these things on our own plates. And, are they all really necessary? I mean, often not. I was thinking about, like, long ago, I stopped sending a holiday letter or card even to like a bunch of people. And I've done it now so long, or not done it now for so long, that it's not even on my to-do list anymore, but it's on other people's to-do list. And I realized, like, oh yeah, that was just something I let go of long ago. So, those are things that we don't even think about often. So just asking, what am I willing to do? And the other tip I like to have, or I like to tell people, is think about it as for now. Doesn't mean you don't resume something next year or you do more things next year. But if this is a time that's particularly hard, or you don't have the help, or your sister decided not to fly up the week early to help out, again, you can change it up for now. It can be different, right?
That for now statement it's actually used by therapists. And there's a statement that goes along with that where you say for now, because it defines that it's not going to be all the time. It's dealing
forever.
It's dealing in the moment for now.
Yes. And I use it all the time. I mean, with my clients, with myself, because we tend to think in absolutes. We tend to think that this is just, now I have to give this up forever. And it's just it's really just kind of a thought error. So it's a way to remind ourselves this is just a period of time. And caregiving often, I mean, sometimes caregiving can be years and even decades, but it is still a period of time. It is still a season, or, that will come and likely will go at some point. So we don't always know what that time frame is. It can be short, can be long, but it will come and it will go. And I think it's just hard for us to think that way. So for now is a statement that is a reminder that nothing's permanent.
Yeah.
And we can change our mind and we can change it up every year.
Well, to your point, Marika, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So the situation could change. Even the health of your loved one, that could change, maybe even for the positive. We don't know what's going to happen. So just deal in the now.
Yeah. And getting back to what is most important, letting go. I think being willing to relook at or let go of the things if they're stressing you out, or if you don't have the help, or if you don't have the energy, or maybe nobody really cares about that one thing. Because we don't know. I actually have a close friend whose, mother died suddenly, day after Christmas, I think it was. And I mean, that is life. I mean, life is unpredictable and anything can happen. And those are things that we don't think about. But I think the holiday time is a good time to remind ourselves that it is precious and short, and none of us know how long any of us have. So, is it worth kind of getting, all stressed out about? Another tip I have too that I really think is helpful, and I want to bring up here, is asking yourself, is this a want or a should? So when it comes to any of the tasks that you have or any invitations you have, do I want to do this? Is this something that I'm looking forward to, would enjoy? Or is it a should? Do I feel like I'm obligated, or other people want me to do this? And just simply asking the question and answering. And it doesn't mean that you only do the wants and you don't do any of the shoulds. But sometimes when we get really clear about where something falls, is I'm doing this because I want to and I'm going to enjoy it, or I'm doing something because I feel obligated and other people want this or expect this, or I want to do it for somebody else, even though it's not really my thing. I think it can be very empowering to make decisions from that place. And maybe, maybe that it doesn't mean you don't do some of the shoulds, but you do it clearly with a clear knowing this is something that's important to, my husband, let's say, that I bake these certain cookies because he loves them. and it takes time, and I don't really feel like it this year, but I want to because it's important to him. And just making that decision consciously is how we also take control. That's how we put control back in our lap. We may not feel like we have the energy, but we're going to decide how we're going to allocate our energy. We're going to do that deliberately.
I'm thinking right now, and it's a classic reframing of your language. But when people say, "Oh, I have to do this,"
Yeah,
you get to do this.
Yeah, or you want to do this,
or you want,
or yes, yeah. Those subtle things. I mean, they've shown that it matters how we talk to ourselves. It matters the language we use when we talk about those things, because we're just reinforcing either feeling kind of like everything's happening to us and we have no control when we say things like "I have to." But changing the language around that is reinforcing that, no, I'm choosing to do this, or I want to do this.
And it just sounds negative, like, oh, I have to, even though you might not mean it in a negative way, it's still, if you want to go deeper here, subconsciously sends a signal, to your mind where, it's a place of negativity, It doesn't sound like you want to do it.
Yeah. And this idea that you have no choice.
Right.
I mean, we've talked about this before too. We always have a choice. It doesn't mean there aren't consequences to our choices. Somebody may be disappointed, something might not get done, whatever the consequences are, but we still have choices. We always have choices. And that alone is also, I find, really powerful to remind myself. Like anytime, I mean, one of the tricks I do for myself is anytime I feel like I'm just feeling a little bit overwhelmed, and sometimes it's a Sunday night and I'm kind of, feeling overwhelmed about the week, because we tend to think of all the things all at once, and that feels overwhelming. And I have to remind myself, okay, none of it I have to do. And I believe that. I really believe, like, it doesn't mean there aren't consequences, but nobody's making me. Like, I don't have to do things. And that I find kind of freeing, actually. It's just a reminder that, like, the world won't end if I don't do these things. I just simply, there will be consequences, and that's fine. But mostly because it's a reminder that I'm choosing, actually. I actually chose to do these things. I scheduled my own calendar, or, I took this job, or I agreed to do this. We sign up. We are the actors in our own life. We're not the ones on a puppet string, even though we may feel like that sometimes. So for me, that's helpful.
I love that. I'm glad you said that, because even if you have 5 things, it's a Sunday night, and you're thinking of that you have to get done that night or, during the week, you can just say, no, I'm not going to do them. I'm not going to, yes, there's consequences, but to give you the freedom to feel that I don't have to do them. Wait a minute. Because it almost feels like there's a gun to your head and you're a hostage.
Yes. I swear it's like a ninja trick.
Right.
I have to
love it.
Because we do start to feel like there's a gun to our head. And it's a reminder that there is no gun. There is just, we get to choose. Right. We have choices about all aspects of our life. And it's really powerful to remind yourself we're always choosing. We're choosing a lot of things.
100%. And guess what? Everything we do is a choice. Everything. You think about it. Life happens. I didn't know that was going to happen. How could that happen? Well, you don't have a choice in it, but you have a choice in the way you're going to react to it. Yeah. Everything's a choice.
Yeah. And that's where we have control. That's like, those are the biggest areas where we have control, in the choices we make, how we respond. What other people do, the things that happen, are where we don't have control. But how we react, what we do, what we initiate, what we choose to do, that's where we do have control. And that's when we act from that place, is when we feel good. We feel empowered and, strong, because we're staying focused in that area.
Yeah.
And that's a fun place to be.
I agree. I think it's a Jedi mind trick, but it's a good one. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. Because I mean, as humans, we tend to it's easy to feel like a victim. I mean, that's just a little bit of a human tendency to feel victimized by something, either like by our own schedule, by the world, by other people, by circumstances, so you have to really work to switch that up and remind yourself you're not a victim. You're the actor. You're the agent who has choices and in control in that sense.
You're the producer. You're sitting there, and the cast of your show is the things you need to get done, take care of, the people around. You really do have full control in a lot of ways in terms of how you're dealing with it.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
Oh, holidays don't seem that challenging anymore.
Yeah.
How does somebody work with you? Like, take us. We've never gotten deep into the process. Somebody reaches out to you, they tell you what's going on in their life, and then how does it all go? Yeah.
So often I have a lot of ways that people can learn more about what I coach on. And that's one of those is through my podcast. I also have blog articles that are linked on my website. But the process really is we do what I call a consultation call, which is just a free call. And we take an hour of time and I ask them what they're struggling with. And as it relates to caregiving, typically, because it tends to impact our lives in various ways. And for some people, I find that some people maybe, have maintained good healthcare, their own healthcare habits, but they really struggle in other areas, or they're struggling with sleep. So caregiving can impact people in different aspects of their life. And so that's what that call is about, is kind of figuring out where they're struggling most and how what they're feeling as a caregiver is impacting those areas. And then we talk about, how to address that. So that's a call. And if they want to work with me, we set a time and we meet each week via Zoom, just like you and I are doing, and have a coaching call. And through that process, I teach them various tools, as well as we deal with whatever. Often there can be a crisis of the moment, or something that's stressing them out, or just whatever is going on in their life. I help them work through it and kind of find their own answers. And I mean, I tell you, a lot of times, I think as caregivers, a lot of times it's giving permission to trust ourselves, to really listen to what we know inside. But, I have the benefit of having gone through it myself, having been on the other side of that, but also having seen many people go through it too. So I see the patterns that when you're in it by yourself, you don't see. It can often feel very lonely, and you wonder am I the only one that thinks this way? And I'm able to say, oh no, that's actually really common. I have several people that have felt the exact same way, because I see those patterns when you work with lots of people in the same type of situation. So I think that can be really helpful, because we question ourselves so much.
Well, we've never done this before. So we always wonder, am I doing the right thing? And you can certainly help somebody get clarity on that and so much more. Coach Marika, Marika.com. Real simple.
Yep.
That's it. Free consultation, start the conversation, and get through the holidays. You got choices. It's it's a good thing. And I love your Jedi mind trick. I'm going to try that.
Okay. Yes, there's nothing I have to do.
I have to do. All right.
Yes.
Well, I have to say goodbye and say next time I'm looking forward when we get together.
Okay. Sounds good, Steve.
All right. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C. Take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D. Help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.